all we need to let you know is that she's just not an ordinary person. She's got a lot in her coffers. She's a corporate lawyer by profession. She's a travel enthusiast. She's everywhere in the world. And of course, when you find time to be everywhere in the world, you have time to do a lot of things like writing books. So she's also an author. We welcome, very beautiful, delectable,
thank you,
intelligent, I don't know if we're going to be able to exhaust her today, Otobong Tom. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Drum rolls.
Woo! She's an expert in drumming. Did you see the ones? It doesn't look like a learner like us.
Abby.
We're happy to have you on Hanging Out Show. This is where we bring in great intellectuals like yourself to come, hang out with us, discuss with us, and tell us about themselves. So people at home can be inspired to be like you and also learn a thing or two. So today, being a lawyer and you've been everywhere in the world.
Not everywhere yet.
Almost everywhere in the world. Almost everywhere in the world. Which has also inspired you to do a writing, because I'm sure that's when you have all the time to yourself. You're not working, you're on vacations. So tell us more about the other part of you we don't know.
Now, the part of me that I share is actually on social media, and which is the fact that I'm a lawyer. That's what I do. I'm never going to stop doing it. I've been doing it for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's who I am. And then I am passionate about travel. You know, I am passionate about the good things of life, but travel is one of it. I'm also, you know, interested. I'm a curious person, so I'm also interested in learning. And so travel for me is not just, because when you said I'm always on vacation, travel for me is not just about taking vacations. It is more, for me, it's a learning process. And that's what I keep talking about all the time. And even when you read my book, you will understand. I think you would find it interesting because you would go into my mind and understand the experiences that I have in those places and why I visit those places, and I'm intentional about visiting those places. It is a learning process, and it is part of who I am. Now, I know most times when we talk to people, older people, and then we do ask them that what do they value most in life, you know, when they look back, you know, you would find that most times the things that we can hold on to are the memories we have.
Definitely.
You know, the memories of, you know, how we lived our lives, and we hope that they are beautiful memories. Sure. And I'm telling you that travel does that, you know, to you. When you travel and then you come back home, the memories, it might look like, oh, it's just, isn't it just travel? But, you know, where some of, you know, the experiences we've had. And I think that whole learning experience and how you're able to apply to your day-to-day life and interact with people, it enriches us. And I think that's, you know, that's why I really love traveling. So yes, I'm a lawyer, but travel is something that I'm passionate about, and I'm very intentional about it.
Very intentional.
I'm very intentional about it,
because
because
something you just wake up and do all
yeah,
the time.
because it's not always convenient.
No,
you know,
no.
it's not always affordable. There are destinations that I have to plan 1 year, you know, or more.
True.
There are destinations I want to visit in 2028. Because I know it probably would not happen in the next, you know, 2 years. You just, you know, plan. So it's not always convenient. But when you're driven by passion. And then intentional about it, you can make it happen. So that's what I do. You know, I love the joyful things of life. You know, I'm a preacher of happiness and everything that makes life, you know,
easy,
glorious.
and happy.
Yeah, and it doesn't always mean, you know, like most times I do recall someone said to me one time, oh, no one is that happy all the time. And and you're right, no one is that happy all the time. And that's why happiness is not something you wait for someone to give it to you. Yeah. It is something that you give to yourself. And it's in the little things, you know, the little things do add up to the, you know, big things. You know?
Sure.
So, you know, that's who I am and that's what I represent.
Yeah, so you are an author, and I can see that you write about travel.
Yes.
So that's basically what you write about.
No, this is not just a travel book.
Okay.
It is deeper than that. You know, it's a story, because it's a story about a young African girl who grew up in a small village and then had dreams and aspirations, and then you can see her achieve that dream step by step, and then you can also go on that journey with her to experience, so it's a learning process. There's a motivation part, of it. There's a part that would inspire the average person, not just the girl child, but also the boy child. There's a can-do, spirit, behind the girl in the story. And then there's also, a journey through the world and destinations that, the average person, would want to go. And even the unbeaten paths that people do not go to. Because most times when you talk to people and then you tell them, where do you want to go? They list the popular places. But this book has the unbeaten path, the places no one talks about, because that girl visited those places, and then she has stories to tell. She's able to tell you about her experience, both good and bad, because they're not all good experiences. They're also challenging experiences, sad experiences, but mostly you can see her struggle to maintain and protect the happiness that she has created for herself. So it's not just about
it's almost like the girl in the book is talking about you.
Well, it's a blend of it's fiction, it's a blend of fiction and real life. Yeah, so I'm not going to deny that some of the stories that are mine, some of them are personal to me, and then I'm sure the people who know me, once they read it, they can probably see themselves.
I mean, we haven't even said the name of the book.
Pick it up and look at it.
So it is called Girls Don't Travel Just for Flowers.
Yes.
So
it sounds so rare, the topic and the title of the book, and it's quite impulsive. Like when I see that, I get more curious. It calls you, exactly. Read me.
That's the whole idea, when I was looking for, because I had a lot of topics. This wasn't the first, title I went with, after writing the book. Normally when I started writing, because this is my first book, and then while writing, I did a lot of researching before writing, just to be sure I was writing a book that people would want to read, a story that people would want to read, and also relate with, and also something that I could attract, people to. So this wasn't the original title, but I just started writing, and then as I went on, I just kept jotting down possible titles, But at the end of the day, between my editor and I, we agreed that this was this was the one.
Catchy.
That this was the one. I was actually worried that I would, it would just tilt towards a particular gender. I'm not concerned, but it's just the fact that it's not a book that just addresses, girls, but it might be misleading if you look at that. Because I had someone even tell me, oh, you're not encouraging us boys. I'm like, okay, there are lots of books about boys. Allow us write about girls then. But this isn't just about the girl child. Like I said, there's a can-do. It's a story that celebrates resilience, passion, and, just building a life that feels like your own. So it applies to just about anyone. It's not a love story. Because I know when someone looked at it, said, I don't want to read a love story. I'm like, no.
Why is that person scared of love? Love is good. I mean,
everybody just see girls. They think it's going to be about
and
love.
And then Florence.
You said,
I hope you see girls and you see
Florence.
Florence.
She said, I hope it's about hustle. I said, yeah.
That's a real Nigerian talking.
I'm like, that's it. You will get that.
Yeah, it's hustle that takes you from one place to the other.
Yes.
It has.
Still
it has
hustling
that.
it.
Yeah, it has that. And then it's a book you want your daughters to read it, because it's difficult when you come from a privileged environment, where it's easy to achieve your dreams because maybe you have parents who have done it for you. But when you tell a story where you find a girl who, I'm not saying she didn't have it all, but I'm saying there's a part of the story that involved her doing what she wanted and pushing through and becoming also successful. It's also a success story, because when you see her go through the experiences, it makes you want to make sure your child, also follows that drive. You don't have to agree with everything, but it's a powerful book. That's the most important thing. And then it would appeal to just anyone, not just the girl child.
All right. Yeah. So at what point did you realize that you want to travel? You want to write a book?
Okay.
I mean, you studied law.
Yes. Well, when it has to do with writing, I've always had a thing for writing, I don't know where it came from, but it's always been part of me, so I can't really say this was the time. And like I said, I started out having a travel blog, and so I wasn't, it was easy, writing this book, it was my first book. I procrastinated for years.
Wow.
You know, and I won't tell you that I completed this. When I started writing this book, maybe like 3 years ago, and I would maybe write a chapter and just
then
leave it
relax.
alone. Because initially I wasn't sure what I wanted to, you know, I knew the stories I wanted to write, but I didn't know what I wanted to, I didn't understand what I really wanted to, what I wanted it to look like. And so I would write a chapter, I would leave it, I would write chapters and leave it. And then I started blogging, you know, really about my travels. When I come back home, I'm writing about the experiences I had. I'm also telling people what they should do in those destinations when they get. So when I was writing the story, it was easy for me to refer to my blog post to remember some of the things that I wanted to write about. So I'm saying it helped that I already had those blog posts. So by the time I was, because once you love writing, once you're in the mood, it just keeps coming.
Yeah.
But if there are areas that, you know, they're gray, you can refer to an experience and then you're able to incorporate that into your story to make it, you know, beautiful. So it's fiction, but there's a real life, you know, part
Experience
to
in
it,
it.
which makes it interesting.
So you're a lawyer.
Yes, I am.
Yes, she is.
I mean, law is a handful already.
Already, you
Yeah,
know.
it can be. It can be.
And I mean, writing too. It's not common. It's not easy as well. It
Especially you said you had to
requires
take about
a lot of
3
mental
years,
work
yeah.
and all of that. How are you able to balance? And you said you still practice law.
Yes, I do. You know.
How are you able to balance it?
Now, I want to say that the moment I decided to finish my book, it took me 3 months. So the
Okay.
issue wasn't that I could not write it in a shorter time. I wasn't just committed to do it, you know, within that time. So the moment I was committed, you know, and I decided to finish my book, it took me 3 months to finish the first manuscript, because you have to finish
the
it. The first
manuscript.
draft is never perfect.
We're talking about you balancing everything up, being a lawyer and a writer, and then you still have to travel. That's a whole lot. Tell us about it. How are you able to?
I think if something is important to us, we would find a way. And for me, that's, you know, that's how I move, you know. If it's important, you find a way. I'm saying it can be challenging, but I have built a life that where I'm able to prioritize the things that are important, you know. And at every point in time, I'm not saying that, you know, I do everything that I want to do. Sometimes, you know, the job calls and I answer, you know, so I do prioritize and I find balance, you know, and that's what it's a daily thing. It's not something I'm going to say I have it all figured out, but I'm saying I am doing it the way that works for me, and I'm happy.
Yeah. So let's talk about funding. I mean, traveling is not
expensive.
it's not a
Yes.
small feat
Yeah,
at
sure.
all.
Yes.
I mean, when I see travelers, vloggers that travel, I just imagine, where do they get the funds from?
Yes. Now, the larger part of that is something I have talked about in my book, you know, and it's something that I want people to go read about, because
Okay.
from Ayanti's story, Ayanti is the girl
All
in the
right.
book. Now, from Ayanti's
Beautiful
story,
name.
yes, Ayanti is actually a name. I'm not sure I've heard of that name before.
Yeah.
It sounds Ghanaian.
It's not Ghanaian, it's actually Akwa Ibom.
Oh wow!
Ayanti, will you remember me?
Oh
Yes. And it came to me, I wanted something that would sound very African.
It even sounds. I'm just getting that one. Never have connected.
Yeah. So from Ayanti's story, you can more or less learn about how you can make travel happen when you're not rich. So that's something I'm going to refer you to the book.
I hope we're going to
find
get
out.
complimentary copies today.
That's something I'm going to refer you to the book to find out, because there's something there for everyone.
Come on.
So yeah, that's but again, just so maybe I can provide a bit of clarity. Traveling is not cheap, but with proper planning, like I just keep saying it, when I say it, it sounds cliche, but with proper planning, it can happen. You hear me talk about planning the trip 1 year in advance. Some of that is time, and a larger part of it is also money.
Yeah.
I know that if I was to make that trip in 3 months or 6 months, I probably would not be able to afford it. But I know if I give myself 1 year, I see where I can make the sacrifices to make that trip happen. And then also, you also travel depending on your budget. If you can afford luxury, spend. If you cannot afford luxury, there is a budget for everyone in every destination.
That's
All
right.
right, all right.
That's
It's a
right.
good way to end it. But we need to know that where we can find the book.
Okay, so right now the book is available. You can order via my website, which is workaholic.com. You can order, and then on a global platform, it's also available on Lulu Bookstore.
Okay.
And then we're also talking to local bookstores around us. You can get a copy of this book. You can also get a copy from a store, which is in Lekki 1. It's Ebony Berry Clothing in Lekki 1.
Alright.
So, but if you go to my website, you find all the information about this and how you can get a copy for yourself. But right now, it's available to order on the website, which is workaholic.com.
All right. Thank you.
It feels so wonderful having you on the show, and truly we cannot exhaust everything in one show.
Yes.
So there are going to be subsequent shows. You will come out to tell us the outcome of girls. Don't travel just for flowers. So Tosin, take notes. When next you travel, what will you be traveling for if not flowers?
Well, I'll think about it.
Okay. So Otobon, it's been wonderful having you once again on the show. And I'm sure some little girl is watching. I would like to be an Otobon at home. You've already said be intentional, plan whatever you want to do. There is a budget for everyone. I know there's something you can add up.
I would just end it with a quote that maybe it just rings at the back of my head, which says that the easiest way to lose your power is to think or believe you don't have one. You know? And so I'm saying you can do it. There's no limit. We can exhaust ourselves here on earth. You know, the limitation you have is the one you put on yourself. No matter how cliche that sounds, practically it works. So I'm saying you're powerful enough to do anything you want. You can be a lawyer and a writer and all the things you want, provided you can find the balance that brings harmony. And it's about you, really, and also about the people, you know, you also being considerate of the people around you and the people that matter to you and the things that matter to you. But first, you know, you have to fill yourself up to be able to be that person to everyone else. So
That's nice. That's nice. And then
your social media handle before you go.
okay, so on Facebook I am Otto Tom, and then on Instagram I'm the D_workaholic.
Okay.
And then on YouTube I do have a YouTube channel that I educate people on visa, because one of the challenges I do face when I travel is obtaining visas to those destinations as a Nigerian passport holder. So there's a support service that I provide on the website, you know, that includes telling you how to apply to visas to some or all of the countries that you might want to go to. So on YouTube I'm also Otto Tom, and then, you know, at the Workaholic.
okay. So that's a good way to solve the visa issues, because I know a lot of people have that.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
We
having
enjoyed
me.
every bit of the time with you.
Absolutely.